Hello everybody, my name is Will from You Know Nothing. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Season 8, Episode 1 is awesome. Let's be honest, the long night is over. Here we are, we've got Game of Thrones for another 5 weeks now, which is upsetting, but we need to enjoy it while we can. If you're excited for Game of Thrones, make sure you hit the like button down below. In this video, I'm going to be taking you through my top 10 moments from Season 8, Episode 1, which is named Winterfell, and a couple of Easter eggs thrown in there as well. So thank you so much for watching, and let's just get into it. So first of all, obviously we have the brand new intro sequence, which isn't brand new, but it's adapted from the original one, and they've done this throughout the entire show so far, depending on what happens in the season or what happens in a particular episode. But in this one, in Season 8, we start from the north. Instead of the south, it usually starts in King's Landing, but this time it starts north of the wall, and we can see that the wall's been broken down, and we end up down in King's Landing. But on the way, there's some blue tiles that flip over, kind of like a path, which is signifying the Night King and the others' path down south. So I assume it'll go further south as the season goes on, as long as they carry on going further south. So by episode 3, the blue tiles will probably be at Winterfell. But then in the actual episode, we will go with number 9, which is Jon and Dany arriving at Winterfell. Of course it is, it parallels the pilot episode, Season 1, Episode 1 perfectly, which is where Robert Baratheon was arriving at Winterfell. There's loads of different parallels, such as the little boy who's climbing over all the walls to see Jon and Dany, whereas in the first season, it was Bran climbing on the castle walls so we could get a better view for seeing the king, Robert Baratheon, getting in. And then when Daenerys speaks to Sansa, Sansa says, "Winterfell is yours," which is something that I think it was Ned Stark said to Robert Baratheon. So, parallels everywhere. It's cool. Of course they started off with that. It only made sense in the story for Jon and Dany to arrive. Arya is then in the crowd as Jon and Dany go past on their horses. Jon doesn't notice her, but you can see in Arya's face that she really, really wants to say something or just shout out, "Jon, Jon!" But she knows it's not the right time, and I felt for it in that moment because those two are so good, but we'll get to their reunion a little bit further on. And we move on to number 8, the Golden Company arrive, / no elephants. So the Golden Company arrive, Euron has gone across the sea, brought them back. Everyone was getting hyped because we know from the books, and we know from the history of the world of Ice and Fire, that the Golden Company are a bunch of sellswords that get involved in wars for money, basically, and they're known for riding elephants into war, so everyone was getting hyped to see them.
I wanted those elephants.
But then they come back and Cersei's like, "Where are the elephants?" Apparently they're not good on crossing the sea, which kind of makes sense, but maybe the budget that they had for each episode was an even bigger factor in not having them in. But it's a shame. I don't know what role the Golden Company will play in the rest of the series. Like whether they'll actually be like, actually, we need to help in the north. Or will they stay down south or realise that Cersei's crazy? They do it for money, so they'll probably stay with Cersei. Moving on to number 7, we've got Bran The Hitman. So Jerome Flynn, before the season came out, said that people might not like Bran as much as they previously have done in the other seasons after they find out what he does in this season. So Bran's having some fun with some ladies when Qyburn comes in with a quest from Cersei. And that quest is to hunt down and kill Tyrion, or Jaime, I think she said, if they survive the Great War. But the twist is as poetic that she gave Bran the crossbow that Tyrion used to kill Tywin in season 4. And he's going to use that to try and kill Tyrion, which kind of sucks. Although Tyrion did say in the finale episode of season 7 that whatever Cersei's paying Bran, he'll pay double. So hopefully Bran comes to his senses and he chooses Tyrion's offer instead. But he does want that castle though. A little Easter egg, when Bran is enjoying himself with the ladies, one of them mentions Eddie the Ginger, which I think is definitely a note to Ed Sheeran because he was an added character in the last season, which is kind of cool. Moving on to number 6, Euron finally gets his way with Cersei. He finally gets his reward for bringing out some justice and then bringing a huge army to Cersei. 2 of the nastiest characters together kind of works. And she's known in the past for sleeping around, so it's not like it's a big deal for her, really, to do that. And then we see her drinking wine afterwards. Whether that's because she's regretting what she's just done or not, I don't know. Is she still pregnant? Or at the time in Westeros, were they just not educated enough to know that you shouldn't really drink when you're pregnant? And then number 5, we touched on it earlier, it's the Jon and Arya reunion. The 2 Stark siblings who have had each other's back all the way through since the very beginning. They have a hug and they're like, "Oh, you've still got Needle," which was a cool moment, I thought. And Arya reminds Jon that family comes first, and Sansa, because she was being a bit weird with Dany, Sansa just wants the best for the Starks. And this is all in the Godswood, which parallels, again, with Ned Stark in Series 1, Episode 1, which I think is pretty cool. Number 4, right at the end of the episode, we have the Jaime Lannister, Bran Stark reunion. Now, obviously, Jaime pushed Bran from the tower in Season 1, Episode 1. Like, it's all coming together. There's so many people meeting. But this one was a bit of a dodgy one. So their meeting is pretty key. Bran says to Sam, a little bit earlier, I'm sat here waiting for an old friend, which didn't click with me that he meant Jaime until Jaime stepped foot in Winterfell, because I didn't think that Jaime would get there that quickly. Jaime looked like he'd seen a ghost. And I can't wait for them to actually speak to each other. Whether Bran will be all weird and the three-eyed raven, or if he's like, remember what you did to me in that tower? Yeah. I know something else about you because I can see everything. But yes, it was a cool reunion nonetheless. Number 3, Samwell Tarly meeting Daenerys finally and telling Jon his true lineage. This is one of my personal favourite moments because I absolutely love Sam. He's definitely up there as one of my favourite characters. And the emotion that he portrays in this scene was epic. So he meets Daenerys after the two characters kind of being intertwined with each other through Jorah, but not meeting each other before. So that was quite cool. And then she thanks him for saving Jorah. And it sounds like she owes him a favour. She says, I can do anything for you. And at this point, I was like, oh, she's going to make Sam a maester. Or the Archmaester of the Citadel, which would be sick. Sam could get his dream. But then she finds out that he's a Tarly, and she's like, oh man, I killed your dad. Sorry about that. Sam doesn't really get on with his dad that much anyway, so he's a bit taken aback, but I think he looked okay. And then he asked about his brother, and she said he stood with his father and he was dead too. And you could see that absolutely killed Sam at that moment. To which he said, can I be excused? And he left. That was a great piece of acting. He then speaks to Bran outside, and Bran's like, you should tell Jon about his true lineage, it's time. So he goes down and meets Jon in the crypts, and they've not seen each other for ages. Jon and Sam are one of my favourite, I was going to say couples, they're not a couple, but my favourite pair when they're together in the show. They've gone through so much together. They give each other a big hug. So he tells him about his lineage and how he knows, and Jon clearly is taken aback. He's been told that he has so many different things in his life, but the rightful heir to the Iron Throne, I bet he didn't expect that. Sam talks about some of the differences between Jon and Daenerys, and when Jon's saying, no, it's treason, I can't, she's the queen, etc. And then they talk about her killing Sam's dad and brother, whereas Jon has prisoners and he's more merciful, he let them through. So they're talking about the differences between them. And he says, you denounced your crown, but would she? Which was a pretty powerful line.
You gave up your crown to save your people. Would she do the same?
Would she? I don't think she would. So number 2, we have Ned Umber dying / the Night King's warning. So we have Dolorous Edd, who's the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, and Tormund, as well as a couple of others, looking through the ruins left by the Night King and the Whites. They bump into each other around the corner, and this is probably one of my favourite moments in the episode from a comedic point of view. So they bump into each other, and Ed shouts out something like, he's got blue eyes, he's got blue eyes. And Tormund retorts, my eyes have always been blue. Which was definitely the funniest moment of the episode. So they walk into a room and they see that Ned Umber has unfortunately seen the wrath of the Night King, and he's pinned up against the wall with the Night King's symbol around it that we've seen before. Now, I've seen people on Reddit and Twitter and whatnot today saying that, oh, look, he's put the Targaryen sigil on the wall. It's not the Targaryen sigil, you normie. We've seen this sigil before multiple times, most notably at the tree where he was created. It's got those kind of swirly lines. It's exactly the same. It's the Night King's symbol. Whether that means something or not, or if it's just his symbol because that's where he was created, we don't know yet, but it's definitely not the Targaryen sigil. Umber is awoken as a knight and stabbed by Beric with his flaming sword, creating a very dark, harrowing scene, which is something that we will definitely see more as the season unfolds. It's going to get darker. Number 1, of course, we have Jon riding Rhaegar. Something that I called on a video last week. I was right about them cutting Jon out of the trailers in CGI. Yes, come at me. I knew it. It was always going to happen, I'm pretty sure, Jon riding a dragon at some point, especially as we know his Targaryen heritage, and that the dragon is called Rhaegal, and we know his father's called Rhaegar. It just makes sense. Of course it does. Still an awesome moment with absolutely amazing cinematography, a big fan payoff moment, and hopefully more to come from Jon riding a dragon, maybe in some wars and battles. That was awesome. And there was also a cool little moment when Jon and Dany were kind of being a little bit romantic by the waterfall, and they were kissing, and then as they were kissing, Jon kind of looks to the side, and I think it's Rhaegar was staring directly at them like, I know what you're doing, boy. I know what you're doing. But there we go, boys and girls. Thank you so much for watching this video. This is the top 10 moments from Winterfell. Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 1. I'll definitely be doing more Game of Thrones videos, so if this is the first one you've seen, make sure you hit the subscribe button, stay up to date with more news, reviews, theories, etc. I'll see you all in my next video. Adios.